Every day is a beautiful day on the Money Manziel MMA channel, and we are back here today to talk about how would Alex Pereira do at 185 pounds versus the middleweights of today. Now, listen, when you think about Alex Pereira's resume as a total in whole, right? Wasn't a lot of fights that he took in order to get to the belt. In fact, we're talking only 3 UFC fights prior to his title shot. Obviously, a man that was fast tracked, but for good reason, right? He had the storyline with Adesanya. He had success outside of the UFC in regional MMA with 3 KOs. And then also, obviously, a long, storied, glory kickboxing career in which he was a double champ at middleweight and light heavyweight. Um, when we think about the fights prior to middleweight, though, and obviously we've seen all the success that has come from it, we knew that he was ready for the big show, and we have now been kind of, validated in thinking that because of all the success he's had at light heavyweight after his title reign, which was very brief at middleweight. When I look at the guys that he faced prior to the title shot, these are the men that Alex Pereira faced at middleweight before getting that title shot against Israel Adesanya. Andres Michailidis,
Who the fuck is that guy?
Bruno Silva, and Sean Strickland. These were the guys that Alex Pereira faced. Now, when you look at the rankings, and this is a common thing you heard at the time, this is a pretty weak fucking title resume. As far as a title resume goes, this is week one. I've said the same thing twice. It's not good. And there were a lot of guys at middleweight at the time, or at least that's the argument you hear from people at the time is, oh my God, man, he didn't fight Vettori. You know what I mean? Imagine what Vettori would have done to Alex Pereira. Oh my God, man, Robert Whittaker, he never had to face him, bro. Imagine if he had to face Robert Whittaker in that octagon. Bobby fucking Knuckles, man. This guy's dangerous. You know what I mean? People wanted to see him versus the actual contenders, kind of have a couple more fights and then get a title shot, which he deserved. But the truth is, listen, he beat the number 4 in Sean Strickland, knocked him out in the first round. You're going to give that dude a fucking title shot. And when you look at the rankings at the time, because I've gone back, I've done the research, we've done the studies, what the fuck is this? These were the rankings at the time that Alex Pereira became champion at middleweight, and people claim, oh my God, man, yeah, no, this is a murderer's row of opponents here. Fucking Andre Muniz in the top 10. Oh my God, man, imagine if he went against Derek Brunson, he would have gotten slimed out, dude. Yeah. No. Kelvin Gastelum at number 11 would have caused serious problems, man. Shut up, bro. Like, shut the fuck up. Bro, people always like to claim, oh my God, he would have lost in the middleweights. Oh, imagine if he went to light heavyweight, he would have lost. Brother, look at the names on this list. I'm not saying that, like, fucking Jack Hermanson would have been kind of interesting with the grappling. Or that Imavov at number 12. Even a, Robert Whittaker. You know what I mean? Maybe. Maybe they would have been interesting. But guess what? He beat the guy who was number 4 prior to his title shot. And he got the title shot. So it is what it is. But I've come here today because I've taken a look at the current middleweight rankings. And they are far better than this. If you have Darren Till in your middleweight top 10, end your promotion, shut it down, declare bankruptcy, make like Khabib and start selling digital crypto scams on Telegram, and never, produce a fight again, never produce anything again, flee to a third world country. This is what you should do if Darren Till is in your top 10 rankings in any division. Either way, we have looked at the current middleweight top 15, and I have decided that this makes way more sense to put him against. I thought about doing a video on, oh, well, how would he have done versus those top 15 guys? And by the way, I've got a minute. Let me do it real quick. Pereira beats the following guys. He beats Izzy, beats Whittaker, beats Cannonier, beats Vettori, beats Brunson. Costa would give him a run for his money. I'd still take him. Beats Strickland, beats Hermanson, beats Till, beats Muniz, beats Gastelum. Imavov would have been interesting, but at the time he would have beat Imavov. Would have beat DDP, would have beat Curtis, would have beat Brad Tavares. He would have gone 15-0. Not a single one of those guys is beating him. But this current middleweight, let me tell you, there might be a guy or two, a sneaky pick or two where Pereira might win. So let's go over Alex Pereira versus the middleweight top 15. I'm going to be breaking down each matchup in the top 15. Who knows if this is going to take a long time or a short time. I'll leave timestamps down below so you can skip around to whichever fights you want to hear about. Let's get into it. The first matchup, Alex Pereira versus the current champion, Khamzat Chimaev. Now listen, these guys have gone back and forth for what feels like years now. But Hamzat kind of does this thing where every single fucking fight that happens, he always says, "Brother, I smashed this guy. This is easy, number one easy fight, bro. Yeah, I fucked this guy up, bro. Yeah, smash this guy. Fuck this guy's ass, bro. Yeah, like kind of weird. Like he kind of alludes to doing, homosexual activity with them too. But either way, Alex Pereira and Khamzat Chimaev. Now, obviously, the striking advantage is on Alex Pereira's side. We've seen Khamzat Chimaev compromised in the striking before. Gilbert Burns gave him a hell of a run for his money. But you got to think that a little bit of those durability issues came with that big weight cut to 170. Now, on the side of the grappling, right? And let me clarify this. We are talking about the current version of Alex Pereira, but at 185. So we're taking into account that the chin is going to be a little worse. We're going to talk about that. It's not going to matter that much. The chin's going to be a little worse, but these are one-off fights, right? I'm not saying, oh my god, accumulated weight cuts. He's going to be drained by the time he gets to number 14. I just mean one-off fights at 185. How would he do? Okay, so we'll take into account the durability a little bit, but not too much. Pereira versus Chimaev at 185. Chimaev is the way better grappler, obviously. He's better than everyone at 185 at getting you down to the ground and submitting you or finishing you with ground and pound. Where this gets interesting is if Alex survives on the ground. We've known Alex in the past to kind of get taken down and not really work his way back up. He tends to be a guy that will sit in your full guard, cross his legs, get the butterfly guard going, and just sit there and let you kind of, stall for a while. He's a guy where if you get him down at, 2 minutes left, he's just going to end the round there. He doesn't want to risk wasting any energy, risk getting caught in something. He has decent BJJ, but he never really throws up submissions or anything. I mean, he's a huge dude. So if you get him down, you're going to hold him there. I think with this logic, if you're really a guy that's going to spend the rest of the time on the ground, Khamzat Chimaev is going to win this fight 10 out of 10 times. The only way he doesn't win is if Alex employs the same approach that he did versus Magomed Ankalaev. You make him shoot on the back foot, trickier to shoot on guys that way, and you apply pressure. I don't think Alex would do this. I think he's a guy that would try and get in a really low stance and defend the takedown, but that's not going to work, at least in the first 2 rounds against Khamzat, and I think Khamzat would break him. Alex Pereira, very strong-willed guy, but ultimately, no one can really withstand the pressure that Khamzat brings in the first 10 minutes of the fight. Just personally, I think he finishes him, but it would be a fight where you could get a Dricus-level decision. I believe Khamzat holds him in full guard for a lot of the fight. Maybe gets to half guard, tries to rain down some punches. Could get a TKO here. But it seems like a fight where Alex would avoid danger for 5 rounds and try and kind of aura farm to maintain his good standing with the fans. I would take Khamzat Chimaev currently to beat Alex Pereira at 185. So, that moves us to our number 1 contender, Dricus du Plessis versus Alex Pereira. Very interesting matchup. Dricus is very weird. We all know that. The striking doesn't look good. It's not fast, but it is very, very powerful. He is sneaky good on the ground, regardless of the Khamzat fight. I think Khamzat makes everyone look like that. And he doesn't really have submissions. I mean, the thing he got Darren Till in was just kind of like a neck crank, and Till didn't really fight out of it at all. He just kind of tapped immediately. But we're talking about a guy who has always had kind of strange cardio, where he looks like he's dead tired, and then he kind of keeps pushing, right? Cardio didn't look bad in the Khamzat fight. He was very tired by the end, but who wouldn't be after 5 rounds? It's a normal fucking sport. We're not all Marabs, where we can just do 25 minutes, no problem. I would understand why Dricus would be tired after those exchanges. Now, where Alex Pereira shines here is that Dricus is so weird. His kicks kind of mess up his footwork a lot, so he'll be standing kind of square to Alex Pereira in moments where a guy like a Mavov, even a guy like, a Cannonier, a Whitaker, they're very technical guys. They're going to never be square to Alex Pereira with their 2 feet kind of facing him. I think Alex is going to find his timing here, and I think he puts out Dricus. This is a guy in Dricus du Plessis who has struggled in fights that have gone the extended amount of time. Darren Till took the 2nd round off of him and was a live favorite going into the 3rd. And Darren Till is not, he's a very good striker, don't get me wrong, but he's not half the striker that Alex Pereira is. I don't think anyone would disagree with me on the striker, meaning boxing and kickboxing part of that. I think Alex would find his timing. I think he would finish Dricus du Plessis. I think is a little too wild for my liking versus a guy like Alex who's just going to find his moment. And he only needs one, and that's the big thing, right? Especially at 185, he really only needs one. And I think he finishes Drigas. Could Drigas employ grappling a little bit? Yes, but I don't fear him on the ground that much with his top control. I think Alex could actually work his way back up for Drigas. And I think this is a very favorable matchup for Alex here. So we'll take Alex Pereira to beat DDP. Now, I will say this, and let me clarify this. We're going to go over this too. The guys he beat on his way to the 185 title and the 185 title, we're not going to include. So Strickland, I'm not including in this video. I just want to be clear. So, Alex Pereira versus Nasruddin Imavov. Very interesting matchup. Imavov is probably the most technical guy at 185 in terms of his striking. All the French guys are very technical. Same with the Manchester top team guys. Very similar style, right? Very kick heavy, decent enough boxing to get you by, but where they're making their money is their low kicks, their body kicks, their high kicks. And then they work in kind of 1-2 shots around the guard. Very good anti-grappling. Just very talented fighters in general. Now, where Nasruddin Imavov loses me a little bit is that his boxing tends to be around setting stuff up, right? He's never going to throw a combination unless he's confident. So that makes him inactive during fights. In the Caio Braulio fight, he won that fight off of bigger moments, right? He had the big moments in each round. But for the most part, it was Braulio kind of moving forward, landing good shots, and then Imavov would land a nasty combo, right? Hurting him to the face, hurting him to the body, touching his jaw a little bit, big right hand down the middle. But he's only throwing, a dozen or landing a dozen or so significant strikes around, closer to 20, obviously. But he wants to pick his moments. Alex Pereira is not a guy that is picking his moments. He's constantly putting stuff in your face. I think here you get a decision, and I think Alex Pereira beats Imavov in a decision. I think that Alex Pereira, other than the Ankalaev fight, which was a weird one, he's so worried about the grappling that, kind of off-put his volume. But in the Imavov fight, Alex Pereira throws so much. You can look back at the Izzy fight, how many significant strikes he was throwing at 185. He constantly wants a jab out there. He constantly wants a leg kick out there. I don't think Imavov would like the leg kicks early. I think they would cause problems, and I think they would make him more hesitant to throw strikes. And in the process, Pereira would continue pumping the jab, throwing a left hook out there, stinging him with a right hand. Right hand to the body, body kick now, head kick up top. You know what I mean? I think Pereira would out-volume Imavov and win a decision. And I think it would be a very high-skilled matchup. Don't get me wrong, I would say Pereira wins this like 8 out of 10 times. I think Imavov can win this 2 out of 10 if he has the big moments. And could he finish a deflated Pereira at 185? Absolutely, he does have power in his right hand. And it's something to pay attention to. I think it's a very fun matchup, but I would favor Alex Pereira here to get the nod by decision, probably a 49-46, with a 48-47 dipped in. Hold on, my voice dipped in there just for shits and gigs. Next matchup. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Alex Pereira. Very, very interesting stuff. Listen, Fluffy Hernandez is kind of your like Starbucks barista type of guy. Very emo, kind of alt, type of dude. Probably has like a bumper sticker that says "I love goth girls." You know what I mean? He's got a little bit of everything going on him. But where he shines is the grappling and constant grappling. He's unlimited cardio. He continues to wrestle you. He can hang with you on the feet for long enough where you're at least fearing him a little bit. He was actually stinging Roman Dolidze on the feet. Not shocking, Roman Dolidze is the worst fighter of all time. But regardless of that, Alex Pereira would have to make his money to the body. Anthony Hernandez has shown a weakness to the body in numerous fights. You go to the Kevin Holland fight, finished to the body. And you even go to the Michel Pereira fight, in which he dominated and won. The first exchange of the fight was him getting hurt to the body with a right hand. So very weak there. I don't know if that's kind of like a diverticulitis thing like Brock Lesnar had. Or I think fucking George St. Pierre had that too. But either way, that's where Alex Pereira would have to catch him early. He'd have to land a knee almost immediately when he jumps in to shoot a takedown. This is a fight to me, and it's going to be a little shocking. I would favor Hernandez like 7 or 8 out of 10 times if these two fought. He just has way better cardio. His grappling is relentless. I know Pereira has stopped a lot of takedowns. I get that. At 185, he would be deflated. I think he would, lack a little bit of that go to kind of get himself moving and circling around the cage that he needs to do against a guy like Hernandez, who It's just looking for your hips. Um, and he's never going to stop. Fluffy's super dangerous, man. I think Fluffy's a guy that really can give Hamzat problems too. And I think he would have beat a 185 Pereira on the way up or as the champ. You know what I mean? He's just so good at wearing you down. He's literally relentless. Go back and watch the Roman Dolidze fight. It is an all-time beatdown, and it is like sad watching Roman Dolidze's face in his expression change from round to round. If you can't, lose the fraud check to Roman Dolidze, then you are high level, and Hernandez would give problems. Now, do I think Hernandez would lose to some contenders at 185 other than Pereira? Yeah, I think him and Izzy would have been an interesting fight. But this matchup is tailor made for him, and I think he'd come out victorious. Shout out to Anthony Felfy Hernandez. Next up, I'm lumping all these dudes together. Brendan Allen Allen, Reinier de Ritter, and Caio Borralho. I think they all are of the same breed of fighter where they are good grapplers that, and we'll talk about a guy like Vittori, you know what I mean, a guy like RoboCop, right? There are, these are good grapplers, objectively. Reinier de Ritter, good grappler. Allen, good grappler. Borralho, good grappler. Allen and Borralho don't really shoot takedowns. They would way rather prefer to stand with these guys. I think Borralho is really comfortable with his striking. Brendan Allen's really comfortable with his boxing. And he tends to like to get people that way. I think that De Ritter was so tired that he decided to grapple him. But ultimately, listen, Brendan Allen and Reinier de Ritter fall into like stupid UFC fighter camp where these are just dumb people that make dumb decisions in fights. You can never trust them to beat high level opponents. Reinier de Ritter would be interested with his submission threat. You'd think he'd be pulling guard. But I think Alex Pereira walks through RDR. Same thing with Brendan Allen. This is the guy that got knocked out by Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland. I don't care how many times he revamps. I think the RDR win is not going to age that well. Objectively, it wasn't like he did a ton of offense. It was just that he was winning the moments and RDR was exhausted. He's a fucking, he's kind of a ticking time bomb with his gas tank where he's really done after about 3 rounds. And Caio Borralho is also a guy who's too comfortable on the feet for my liking. I think he'd be a guy that would try and stand with Alex, and it would go poorly. Very similar to the Sean Strickland fight, I think he should shoot, and I think he could have success if he shot. But he doesn't have the power to put him away, in my opinion. Cannonier's chinny as hell. I'm not going to count that. And I don't think his grappling is dangerous enough to get Alex to the ground for good. I think Alex would chin this dude in the first or second round. So these are the 3 guys in middleweight I have losing that I don't have to think hard about. I think Alex Pereira objectively wins these matchups. Next up, and I didn't even put the green thing, or whatever. Alex Pereira versus Bobby fucking Knuckles, mate. Mate, Bobby fucking Knuckles, this is an incredible fight, mate. Pumping the fucking jab out there. Listen, Robert Whittaker is one of those guys where if you put him against the best in the world, he probably can fight up to expectation. If you put him against like Dustin Stoltzfus, he might lose a decision. You know what I mean? Very, very bizarre fighter. Now, when it comes to this fight, very technical. He's going to be the faster striker here. He's going to be able to mix things up high and low. He is capable of grappling, although he doesn't do it. And he's got good boxing, good kickboxing, good elbows, good knees, good everything. Where Bobby Knuckles lacks is general fight IQ, along with being a stupid person, and along with being chinny as shit. If you touch this guy with a jab, he's going down. And Alex Pereira is way too powerful for Robert Whittaker. It would only take one to finish Rob, and I think ultimately it will only take one because I think Alex Pereira wins this pretty easily. I like Robert Whittaker, still very skilled. I don't even know what he's going to do at this point in his career. I wish he could move back to 170, but he'd probably have a worse chin there. I think Pereira wins this fight pretty easily. It could be, like a shining moment. Robert Whittaker goes the distance, very close decision, probably gets robbed or something. But yeah, I don't think he poses much of a threat for Alex Pereira. I think Alex would just need to find a moment on the feet to get him, and I think if he connects one time with a stiff jab or a left hook, Whittaker goes down, and then he'll finish him from there. No problem. I'm taking Alex Pereira to win this matchup all day versus Robert Bobby Knuckles. And, it is what it is. Alex Pereira versus Michael Venom Page. I'm excited to talk about this matchup because it is a very interesting one to me. In this matchup, right, you have a guy in Alex Pereira, very technical, good knees, elbows, kicks, the punching's great, the power serious. MVP is constantly autism and schizophrenia maxing in the octagon, which is what you need to be successful, right? He's bouncing around all over the place. He's smiling at you. He's emoting at you. He's probably yelling Shama at Alex Pereira in the middle of the fight, just to fuck with him. This is a guy who is tailor made to give Alex Pereira a weird amount of problems. He's like the type of dude like you find on the street and you tell him like, "Yo, I've been boxing for 4 years. Like, you want to run like a little street fight?" It's like your first friendly fade. You know what I mean? And this dude will genuinely slime you out with like a step in fucking tornado kick, and you'll never see the light of day again. MVP would be a fascinating matchup. I will say that Alex is notably bigger because MVP is a little chubby at 85. And honestly, if Alex shot takedowns, he might win this fight. But you tell me this and riddle me this real quick. Who has beat MVP without grappling? Has anybody won striking versus MVP? No. Ian Gary had to win off of moments in the grappling in their fight. When you look at the fight with Shara Bullet, supposed to be this great striker, MVP dominated him 30-27 easy. Kevin Holland beat him pretty easily except for grappling exchanges. Jared Cannonier beat him the first 2 rounds, knocked him down multiple times. It was the grappling that held him down. I think in a pure striking matchup where neither guy is going to shoot, I think that Michael Venom Page beats Alex Pereira at 185. I think it would be a boring, boring, boring decision with like a moment where Pereira hurts MVP on the feet. The only guy to beat Michael Venom Page striking, by the way, is Mike Perry in BKFC, but that's kind of besides the point. I know he lost. Was it Douglas? Was it Diego Lima or Douglas Lima? Who was it? I think it was Diego Lima. I might be wrong about that. It could be fucking Douglas. I have no clue. Obviously he knocked out MVP, and then you had kind of the Logan Storley matchup, which is interesting in Bellator. But striking wise, no one has touched MVP. He is legit. He's hard to hit. And he's southpaw, which Alex Pereira's had a lot of trouble with in his career. And I think he would have trouble with it here. I think MVP wins a very boring point fighty decision versus Alex Pereira. Immediate rematch, and Alex loses again in the weird decision. This is a horrible matchup for Alex. MVP is a horrible matchup for any striker. Any grappler, easiest day of your life if you can just get to his hips. And if Cannonier can get to your hips, then anyone can. I ultimately think that, MVP would cause problems. And yeah, man, unless Alex Pereira's shooting double legs, I think MVP wins this pretty easily by a point fighting decision. Call me fucking crazy, but that's just how I see it. Next up, we have kind of the camp of fighters at the back of middleweight. Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vettori, and Roman Dolidze. Again, I don't have to think hard about this. Marvin Vettori has been doing the exact same thing in every fight for about 10 or 30. How many years has he been in the UFC? It's got to be 10 years now. He's been doing the same thing every single fight. He stands in front of you with his big fucking face and throws a 1-2 down the middle, and then will kind of shoot a takedown randomly when that isn't working and he's getting hit. He has nothing for Alex Pereira. He refuses to shoot takedowns, and I don't think he'll get them even if Pereira, even if he decides to shoot. Jared Cannonier's chinny as hell, not a question, unless he catches Pereira first with like a massive overhand right. He goes out in probably a minute and a half. Roman Dolidze is one of the worst fighters on the planet. I have zero clue how he got into the rankings. He got there off of 29-28ing Anthony Smith. And then congratulations, Kevin Holland faked a fucking rib injury versus you. That is how he got into the rankings. And then Anthony Hernandez embarrassed him. So I'm not big on Roman Dolidze. I don't think he stands much of a chance on the feet. And his cardio is objectively worse, and he's slower in every department. So we'll go with Alex Pereira to beat all three of these guys pretty easily. It's not taking much out of me to explain it. So for what that's worth, we move to the final two guys here. Alex Pereira versus Paulo Costa. Now, I've always maintained this, and it might be because I dislike Paulo, but I think Paulo Costa, on paper, shout out Anthony Smith, gives every single middleweight a run for their money. He's never been dominated outside of the Izzy fight. He's just kind of weird, where you never know who you're going to get. Do you think Roman Kopylov thought that he was getting fucking prime, the eraser Paulo Costa showing up? Where he's getting knocked down and hurt with every single strike, literally not having a moment on the feet, straight 30-27 across the board? No, I don't think he thought that Paulo Costa was showing up. Do you think Marvin Vettori thought that at 205, where Paulo Costa didn't have to cut weight, do you think that he thought there was a world where he was going to beat him striking over 5 rounds? No, but he did. So Paulo Costa is very strange. I think that he gives a real hard matchup to Alex Pereira. I think he does it to any middleweight. That's why the Robert Whitaker fight was so competitive, because it's like Paulo's good, man. He's good everywhere. Great striking. His cardio's better than people say it is. Kicks are really powerful. Anti-grappling is off the charts. He's good jiu-jitsu. Yeah, man. It's one of those fights where it's going to be very close. I do think that Paulo's a guy where, I don't know, for a title fight, I just think that he wouldn't come fully locked in. I think a very locked in Paulo could beat Alex Pereira, but a Paulo Costa at 185 where it's a title fight, all the media is on him. I think that he'd be tweeting like slurs and shit on Twitter and fucking be drinking before the fight. I think you get a similar Paulo to who showed up in the Izzy matchup, and I'll take Alex Pereira to beat him. But it would be a very interesting technical matchup. Striking for striking, they're pretty similar. I mean, Paulo carries as much power. And he's able to beat guys down. He's got that power where it just hits you hard. It doesn't knock you out, but you're just like, fuck, that was hard. You know what I mean? No diddy. But um either way, I like Alex to win. Probably a decision, to be honest with you. Probably like a 48-47 or like a 10-8 round where Costa grabs the fence or some shit. But yeah, 48-46, Alex Pereira. That's what we'll say. Either way, that leaves us to the final guy at the back of middleweight, RoboCop versus Alex Pereira. It is an interesting matchup on paper if you ignore a big element. RoboCop's a very good grappler. He is a very, very powerful striker. So that is interesting. Now, the big element that we are leaving out is that RoboCop is one of the worst chins I've ever seen. If he gets even touched by a punch, he goes down and out. And this has been a factor in his career for a long time, and it will continue to be. And it is why he is not higher up in the rankings, because he is skill for skill a very talented fighter. But ultimately, if Alex Pereira is in front of you and you've got a dog shit chin, I hate to tell you, but you're going out cold. So, RoboCop, brother, welcome to the Shadow Realm. You will be missed. Rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for the video today. Listen, it was a lot of fun putting this together and thinking about these matchups. I know some of them weren't very technical breakdowns, but listen, man, I'm not going to spend a ton of time breaking down Alex Pereira and Roman Dolidze. You know what I mean? Alex is winning that fight easy. If Alex Pereira would have lost to Roman Dolidze in a fight, fucking cancel the sport. You know what I mean? Either way, shout out to all you guys for the support. We continue to grow. I mean, at like an exponential level every single day. It's really nuts to watch. And I appreciate all of it, man. So like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. If you're old, just subscribe either way, man. We're on the road to 1,000, or I guess probably more conservatively 600 at this point. But regardless of that, hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday. I think it's like a blackout Wednesday or some shit. So, you know, drink with your family, text your favorite ex-girlfriend, tell your boys you miss them, and yeah, man, have a beautiful Wednesday pre-Thanksgiving. Eat some good food to prepare your body for the more good food you're going to have on Thanksgiving. So I appreciate all of you. My TikTok is at MoneyManziel MMA. My YouTube Shorts is on here. You can go to the Shorts tab on my channel and watch all of the clips that I post on TikTok without having to download the app and watch the degenerate nonsense that's on there. Either way, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day. Peace out, boys.